You have probably heard the saying that 70% of all communication is portrayed through body language, and think about before even someone open their mouth, we already start assuming what they are like just from the way they carry themselves. That's why you need to know that our facial expression, gesture, posture, and tone of voice are powerful communication tools. Assalamualaikum to my respected business communication lecturer, Madam Jaharatudini, and fellow audience. On this fine day, it is indeed an honor to be given the chance to present a public speech about what is body language. Before that, let me introduce myself and my public speaking partner. My name is Nazman Ishak and my matrix number is 25DPM20F1021, while my partner name is Siti Leyana Binti Mahali and her matrix number is 25DPM20F1002. Firstly, what is body language? Body language is a part of non-verbal communication. It is the use of physical behavior, expression, mannerism to communicate non-verbally, often done instinctively rather than consciously. Whether you are aware of it or not, when you interact with others, you are continuously giving and receiving wordless signals. All of your non-verbal behavior, the gesture you make, your posture, your tone of voice, how much eye contact you make, send strong message. They can put people at ease, build trust, and draw others towards you, or they can offend, confuse, and undermine what they are trying to convey. These messages don't stop when you stop speaking either. Even when you are silent, you are still communicating non-verbally. However, by improving how you understand and use non-verbal communication, you can express what you really mean, connect better with others, and build stronger, more rewarding relationships. Secondly, I will talk about the importance of body language. Your non-verbal communication cues, when your non-verbal signal match up with the word you are saying, they increase trust, clarity, and rapport. When they don't, they can generate tension, mistrust, and confusion. If you want to become a better communicator, it's important you to become more sensitive not only to the body language and non-verbal cues of others, but also to your own. There are 5 rules of non-verbal communication. Firstly is repetition. It repeats and often strengthens the message you are making verbally. Next is contradiction. It can contradict the message you are trying to convey, thus indicating to your listener that you may not be telling the truth. Thirdly, substitution. It can substitute for a verbal message. For example, your facial expression often convey a far more vivid message than words ever can. Fourthly, complementing. It may add to or complement your verbal message. As a boss, if you pat an employee on the back in addition to giving a prize, it can increase the impact of your message. And finally, accenting. It may accent or underline a verbal message. Pounding the table, for example, can underline the importance of your message. Furthermore, types of nonverbal communication. Do you know that there are many different types of nonverbal communication or body language, including facial expression, body movement and posture, gesture, eye contact, touch, space, and voice? I will explain to you some of them. Firstly, facial expression. Human face is extremely expressive and able to convey countless emotions without saying a word. And unlike some of non-verbal communication, facial expression are universal. The facial expression of happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, and disgust are the same across cultures. Secondly, body movement and posture. Considering how your perception of people are affected by the way they sit, walk, stand, or hold their hair. The way you move and carry yourself communicate a way of information to the world. This type of nonverbal communication includes your posture, bearing, stance, and the subtle movement you make. And lastly is uses of speech. Have you ever felt uncomfortable during a conversation because the other person was standing too close and invading your space? We all have a need for physical space, although that need differs depending on the culture, the situation, and the closeness of the relationship between you and the other person. You can use the physical space to communicate many different nonverbal messages, including signal of intimacy and affection, aggression, or dominance. And by the end of my speech, I will let my team, Siti Leyana, to continue our public speaking.
Thank you, Nazman. Hi, my name is Siti Leyana Binti Mahali. Number matrix 25DPM 20F1002. Next, it's my turn to continue our public speaking. I will explain about how nonverbal communication can go wrong. Before I explain the example of this article, I will first explain how nonverbal communication can go wrong. What you communicate through your body language and nonverbal signal affects how others see you and how will they like and respect you. Unfortunately, many people send confusing and negative nonverbal signals without ever knowing it. When this happens, both connection and trust in a relationship are damaged. As the following example highlights about Eileen. Eileen is attractive and has no problem meeting eligible men, but she has a difficult time maintaining a relationship for longer than a few months. Eileen is funny and interesting, but even though she constantly laughs and smiles, she radiates tension. Her shoulder and eyebrows are noticeable rise. Her voice is chill and her body is stiff. Being around Eileen makes many people feel anxious and uncomfortable. Eileen has a lot going for her that is undercut by the discomfort she involves in others. If you want to communicate effectively and avoid misunderstanding and trusting a relationship, both social and professionally, it's important to understand how to use and interpret body language and improve your nonverbal communication skills. Next, I will explain about how to improve nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is a fast-flowing back and forth process that requires your full focus on the experience from moment to moment. In addition, you can improve the way you communicate nonverbally by learning to manage stress and developing your emotional awareness. Number 1 is learn to manage stress at the moment. Stress compromises your ability to communicate. When you are stressed out, you are more likely to mistreat other people. If you are upset, it is likely you to make other upset, thus making a bad situation worse. If you are feeling overwhelmed by stress, take a time out. Take a moment to calm down before you jump back into the conversation. Once you have regained your emotional equilibrium, you will feel better to deal with the situation in a positive way. Number 2 is develop your emotional awareness. In order to send a correct nonverbal cues, you need to be aware of your emotion and how they influence you. You also need to able to recognize emotion and of others and the true feeling behind the cues they are sending. This is where emotional awareness comes in. Next, I will explain about how to read body language. Once you have developed your abilities to manage stress and recognize emotion, you will start to become better at reading the nonverbal signals sent by others. It's also important to, number 1 is pay attention to inconsistencies. Nonverbal communication should reinforce what is being said. Is the person saying one thing but their body language covers something else? For example, others tell you yes while shaking their head no. Number 2, trust your instincts. Don't dismiss your gut feeling. If you get the sense that someone is not being honest or that something is not adding up, you may be picking up on a mismatch between verbal and nonverbal cues. In conclusion, we hope you had an enjoyable and informative hearing about body language basics and how to use them in business. But most importantly, you have to understand that as you are studying others' body language, others will be constantly scrutinizing your style. So try to find out time from your daily schedule and work out your body language so that you stop giving threatening through your gestures and signals when you actually make no harm. Probably enough for us to say in the title of body language, no more or less, as well as the mistake we say whether intentional or not. We truly apologize. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.